Cyberpunk 2077. What a game. What an adventure. When CD Projekt Red first announced Cyberpunk, fans were hyped. Finally an open world RPG set in the beloved Cyberpunk universe. After years of waiting and countless delays, the game finally launched on December 10th, 2020. And well, what can I say? It was a total technical mess at start. The game didn't come close to delivering on its promises, and the technical state was so rough that many players couldn't even probably play it at release. I personally first played Cyberpunk in 2021, when it was already more stable than at launch but still had plenty of flaws. It wasn't until the long-awaited update 2.0 2 years later that CD Projekt Red managed to patch the game into a state where everyone could finally enjoy it. From then on, the game took off. Fans embraced it completely, and I have to admit, with update 2.0, Cyberpunk 2077 became one of my all-time favorite story-driven games. But what makes Cyberpunk so fascinating to me? The visuals. Neon reflections on wet asphalt, shimmering glass facades, tight allies, strange and dynamic light. It's all these visual details that make the world of Cyberpunk 2077 so unique.
Was gibt's?
Why is the game's graphics still a milestone in real-time rendering? Because CD Projekt Red didn't just create assets, they built an entire rendering architecture and design philosophy that rethinks light, materials and how a world should feel. Today, we will take a closer look at Cyberpunk 2077's visuals and highlight some of the design choices CD Projekt Red made along the way. Cyberpunk 2077 runs on CD Projekt Red's own Red Engine 4. It's a major evolution of earlier Red Engine versions, expanded to handle an open, densely packed city with advanced lighting, streaming and physically based rendering. It brought improvements like better streaming, tessellation, PBR materials and hardware-accelerated ray tracing. Instead of relying only on rasterized techniques, Red Engine 4 uses a hybrid pipeline. Traditional rendering methods like screen space reflections, probes and rasterized shadows combined with hardware ray tracing for reflections, shadows, ambient occlusion and indirect lighting. The result is a balance of performance and visual fidelity, especially on high-end PCs. Cyberpunk employs several ray tracing techniques, reflections, shadows, ambient occlusion and even global illumination in some modes. Together they deliver long-distance reflections, accurate shading and much more believable indirect lighting compared to screen space-only solutions. CD Projekt Red worked closely with Nvidia to make these ray tracing features practical, and they also integrated DLSS, Deep Learning Supersampling. DLSS was crucial for making ray tracing actually playable by using AI upscaling to boost performance without sacrificing visuals. Over the years, DLSS updates like 3.x or 3.5 and even the earlier DLSS 4 brought frame generation and ray reconstruction, making everything smoother and more stable. Without this partnership, many ray tracing effects would have been way too slow or limited. DLSS essentially made ray tracing mainstream, and it's fair to say that Cyberpunk 2077, together with Nvidia, took ray tracing to a whole new level, celebrating some of its first big successes and proving it could even run on mid-spec PCs. To this day, Cyberpunk remains one of the best, if not the best implementation of ray tracing in any game, striking the right balance between quality and performance. Later CD Projekt Red even added a path tracing ray trace overdrive mode as a tech preview. Unlike separate systems for shadows, reflections and GI, path tracing calculates lighting paths physically correctly in a single pipeline. Cyberpunk was one of the very first games to attempt this. The result? More consistent cinematic lighting but at a huge performance cost, so it's mainly for high-end hardware only. Still, thanks to modern GPUs, you can actually enjoy path tracing at around 60 frames per second even on a 4070 or 4070 Ti. The game also makes heavy use of PBR materials. Layered surfaces with diffuse albedo metallic maps, roughness, clear coat, normal maps, detail overlays, plus emissive shaders for neon signs and advanced glass shaders and micro opacity maps for fine transparent details. Combined with high quality textures and immersive materials, this creates Night City's iconic neon kitsch atmosphere. Volumetric fog, light scattering, particle-based smoke and haze, and dynamic local lights with soft shadow adds a lot of depth, working especially well with ray tracing shadows for realistic, edge detail and contact shadows. Night City itself is a masterpiece of design. The team drew from industrial designers like Dieter Rams and futurists like Sid Mead to create a mix of clean elegance and loud consumer aesthetics. CD Projekt Red described it as kitsch, retro-decade architecture colliding with flashy high-tech advertising. That contrast is what makes the city so unique. Building it took years, with layers of detailed streets and distant skylines painstakingly refined. You really notice things like signs of wear, for example scratches, dirt, decals, the contrast between rich and poor, for example shiny glass towers with scrambling brick walls, and a dense vertical layout that works both up close and in wide shots. Level designers like Miles Torsen lighting artists used almost like a director uses a camera. Strong contrast, neon coding, and dramatic spotlight guide the player's eye and build atmosphere. The day-night cycle and weather system mean the same street tells a different story depending on the time of day, dirty and creamy by day but dramatic and threatening at night, and reflections. And let's be honest, Night City looked its absolute best at night, especially in an HDR mode on an OLED display. Under the hood, decal layering, intense props, and detailed streets assets make close-ups believable, while LOD streaming and tessellation keep distance geometry efficient. Of course at launch, performance was a disaster, especially on old consoles, but even on PC and new-gen hardware the game was far from polished. CD Projekt Red spent years releasing patches, optimizations, and updates like DLSS upgrades and a path tracing preview, steadily improving the visual experience for the players. The photo mode became a huge feature as well. With post-processing tools like tone mapping, film style filters, depth of field and bloom, creators could treat the game like a visual camera. Later patches added more tools and DLSS updates made images sharper and more stable even in motion. Cyberpunk 2077 is both technically ambitious and artistically bold, combining engine-level innovation, close industry partnerships with Nvidia, and strong artistic influences. It shows what's possible when light, material, and city design are treated as one coherent system. It also proves how much modern visuals depends on a mix of software architectures, hardware, and iterative design. With ray tracing and path tracing, Cyberpunk 2077 stands as a pioneer for the next generation of graphics. And despite its rocky launch, I still think Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the most beautiful games out there today. Night City in particular is a crown jewel, one of the most alive and realistic cities ever built in a video game. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and consider subscribing so you won't miss out on future content from the gaming world. Thanks again, and I will see you guys in the next one.